Hi good people, it's Amy from Savor, Salvage, Scent. I hope this finds you well. For those of you who are new to the channel, this mostly focuses on all things fragrance related with occasional other creative or DIY projects. For those of you returning, thank you so much for being here. If you haven't already, I hope you'll consider clicking the red subscribe button so that we can stay in touch. And I always love to hear from you, so feel free to leave comments, messages, ideas, etc. Today, I am excited to talk about a beautiful box of goodies that Maude Toussaint-Comeau sent me. Some of you will know her channel called It's a Maude Thing. She is one of my favorite content creators. And first, because I think just the kind of fragrances that she's interested in, I find that she likes very artsy, I would say unique, not always what's on trend scents. And so I always am interested to hear what she's wearing and what she likes. Her channel also focuses on other art forms, as almost I would say as much as fragrance. And also, she seems to be really deeply into the natural world. So like her garden, and when she makes videos are often about places that she visits and where she might travel to. And so I just find it to be a really beautiful, enriching experience to get to know her and to see her channel. If you're not familiar, I'll click the link below, but I'm sure a lot of you will know her and love her. So, I was lucky enough, so it was probably 2 or 3 months ago, I was quite sick. I believe I had COVID. I was very, very sick for a few weeks, and it was just such amazing timing to get this beautiful box of goodies of both exploration sets and samples that she had sent. But it took me a while, partly because I was so sick at that time. And I just take some time sometimes to, I want to thoughtfully really have a week or a weekend to test what somebody sends me. And so I have been testing these scents and enjoying them over time, and I want to share with you. So I'm going to do 2 videos based on the wonderful box of goodies she sent me. So today's going to focus on some various samples that she included, and then also this Malin and Goetz exploration set. And so super exciting. So I'm going to dive right in. And next video, and I believe these were from Maude, I hope so. So the other issue is during that sick time, I got a few boxes, and I hope I didn't confuse what was from whom. So apologies if that happened. But the next video will focus on a replica Maison Margiela box. So I'm going to dive in today to the Malin and Goetz. I was really surprised to hear how this was pronounced. I assumed it was going to be Goetz or Goetz, based probably on my German background. But in fact, these are 2 creators in New York City. This is each of their last names. It's Malin and Goetz. And my understanding is they're kind of skincare pharmacy kind of feel company, and around the idea of, like, you know, in bigger cities, how we all used to, like, still in France and New York, for instance, you'll have almost like a corner store pharmacy where you can get your skincare. And apparently they've branched out into fragrance as well. First, I think this is a really beautiful kit. I forgot to look up how much it is, but I'll put that below. And I'll just say, from the artsy side of things, and I'm the first to say that the artistry only matters if you like the scents, or at least that's the way I feel. So if I like the scents, it's additive, right? If I don't love the scents, then, you know, that's only going to do so much for me. But I really, really like what I've tried here. I think they're so interesting, and I want to show you how you experience it. So you open it up, it's this beautiful presentation. And on each side, you know, you can open it either way. And I think it's so beautiful when you take the samples out of their little encasements, the color theory that, you know, the main note or the name associated with is behind the piece. These were all really, really interesting. I find them, I think they're marketed as unisex, and I find these to be perfectly unisex. For a minute, I was starting to think that some of them, because of their names or their like highlighted note, were more masculine. But even if they're named as such, when I wore them, I was like, oh no, I find them to be kind of like right in the middle for me. They are 2 male creator. So it did make sense to me that like, at first when I was smelling these, I was like, none of these are intensely sweet, you know, and I was thrilled with that because I think I love sweet scents, but there's a ton of them in the world. So I think this is really interesting, artsy. The only thing I'll say that was a bit challenging, the sprayers were not working great for me. I really had to like, I put a few of them actually even under hot water, etc. So I had a bit of trouble with the sprayers, but it could be because I let them sit for a bit. I'm not sure. But once I got them going, this was gorgeous. So 6 scents. I'm going to dive right in. First, I tried one on each wrist. The first was Stem. And I wrote, to me, especially over time, this to me is as aquatic as it is green or stemmy. I'm not going to read every note. There's quite a combination, but the things that kind of come out for me are hydrangea and freesia. Freesia is one of my most unfavored notes, and I can pick it up here. However, I thought this was really interesting because it's not like Stem. I would think it would be like ultra green. But I think things like freesia bring an aquatic quality. And when this dries down, there's a musky, either a quarter note that kind of comes to the surface. And when this dries down, it reminds me a lot of Sarah Jessica Parker's Lovely. I prefer Lovely probably because it's one of my favorite scents and I've just been wearing it for years and I can tell these subtle differences. But this is very close. Because I have something similar, I would not need this, but I think it's really interesting. And when I first looked at the names of these, they're all 1 note names. I thought they were going to be really soliflor, but I think what's really interesting about them are solo notes, is that while one might come to the surface, there are compositions around all of these. And so I find them to be, I don't know, like they were all a bit surprising to me that it wasn't just strong in that 1 note. So this, in this case, is not just about stem. It certainly has things that are stemmy, and very likable to me. Very likable if you like a lighter clean musk. So that's Stem. Probably my favorite, and this seems to be the scent that I could find the most reviews on. Just a few though. I did not find that this house was covered a lot. Is one called, is it Dark Rum? Yes, Dark Rum. This is enchanting, like enchanting. I should say quickly the price of the perfumes. I have not purchased any yet, but what I found online was you can get oils, and that was kind of exciting to me. You know, like a typical kind of oil roller ball size. I think they were 0.3 ounce, and those were around the 30 price point, which I think is great for an artsy line of perfume. And then they had bottles that were 1.7 ounce, I think, of all of these for around, I think, 90. And so I think pretty good for an artistic perfume house. So Dark Rum. Now, I was expecting this to be decidedly male leaning, and I thought for sure it would be like super dark, spicy rum. Now it has some of that, but this is one that literally made me go, oh, when I first sprayed it and smelled it, because it was, again, this combination of things I couldn't exactly put my brain around quickly. I am going to read you the notes for this because I think most of them come out, or you can detect. Plum, bergamot as top notes, mid notes, leather and rum, and then base notes of amber, milk, and patchouli. Oh, I do get that milk note, that lactonic, and I think that's what makes it so. I expected this to be just about the spice, or almost like a dark rum. You definitely get a little rum, but you get as much the plum. You get the bergamot when you first spray it. It calms down quickly. You definitely get the plum. And what is great to me about this is you get a little leather, but it's like soft. And then that amber, the patchouli just gives a little bit of like base or earthiness. But again, it's like, it's multifaceted. I find it full, soft, I thought this was going to be an almost screechy, like alcoholic rummy scent. And while again, you can pick up on it, it's so much more. I find this enchanting, and I added this to my want list. It's absolutely beautiful, and I think would be incredible this time of year, but it is light enough that I think you could wear it year round. It's really, really beautiful. Okay, next, speaking of leather, there's one called Leather. And this is one where I find I like leather more than probably the average woman, I would say. I especially like kind of softer leathers or suede notes, but I sometimes find really good leather scents that smell more of the tannery aspect of leather, or the kind of motorcycle jacket you get it with cigarette or whatever kind of leather. I find those to be more challenging, super interesting. But this is, I find again to be a perfectly unisex leather, which I also think is hard to do. I wrote wow the minute I sprayed it. The notes here are pepper, clove, and lotus. And that, I don't always like lotus because I find it to be in scents that are just about aquatics, but it really brought something interesting to this. Then the mid notes are violet, lily of the valley, and orchid. And then the base notes are leather, sandalwood, and cedar. This is so gorgeous because again, it's got this like roundness. It's got a bit of a sweetness, a bit of a spice. It's got that violet that makes it kind of like a tiny bit powdery, maybe even more a tiny bit powdery, but not your Johnson's baby powder, not your like vintage powder smell. This is so beautiful. And I think if you wore this, I don't think anybody would go, oh, that's a leather scent immediately. Or at least that leather note doesn't outweigh everything. It's just this beautiful, beautiful composition. So I also added this to my want list. It's, I don't have anything that smells either like the dark rum or the leather. They're really interesting and good. So highly recommend, really beautiful. All right, what do we have left here? These were all somewhat surprising too. So first is vetiver. This is the only one that was a disappointment to me. And it's a beautiful scent. I'm not going to read every note, but I wrote down clean, dry, grassy. But clean. Some vetivers will smell much more like sun-warmed hay or even dirty, smoky, and I like those. This was very nice when I first sprayed it. I liked the clean kind of vetiver, like grassy experience. However, I could barely smell it, and then just 10-20 minutes later, I can't hardly smell this at all. Like I am pretty sure that this is gonna vanish in no time. Like, I hate to say it, this is to me the strength of a body spray. So I would not invest in this scent. I would not, but I think if you like vetiver, it's worth just trying at least because it's a beautiful composition, but I'm really surprised by how poorly this performs for me. Next is bergamot. I originally just discounted this before I sprayed it because I think bergamot is used so much and it's often used, you know, as a really bright top note. I find it often to be used in a similar way. And I don't know, I just thought, gosh, Amy, I don't think you love bergamot that much. Again, this to me is so much about the composition. It's not just about the bergamot, though I can definitely smell it here. I wrote, this is as much about grapefruit, citrus, amber, grass, and all those things. Again, you definitely pull out like that astringent in a good way to me, like grapefruity tang, but it's not screechy. And you get grass and you get that bright grassy like citrus that is bergamot too, or the peel perhaps. I love this so much, and it's not highly rated. I noticed on Fragrantica. I love this as much as, you know, I've not worn it for long, obviously, but I love some of the Guerlain Acqua Allegorias for that fresh, grassy, uplifting herbal feeling. One is Herba Fresca and one is Limon Verde. If you like those, you will probably like this. I think this even might have a bit of mint in it. It just smells like fresh. It smells like a perfume interpretation of an herb garden with some bergamot. It's gorgeous. Love it. And I think this would be a great spring summer splurge. Beautiful. Last but not least, and this was another surprise, is cannabis. I find I am all over the map as far as if I like a perfumer's interpretation of cannabis, marijuana, whatever, hemp. There are some that are extremely skunky, just like if you were buying the thing itself. I do not like that experience of that skunky smell. And I find often, especially in the male leaning fragrances that use cannabis, that it has that, like, it's so believable to me that I actually would fear sometimes, you know, like if I wore it out in the world that, you know, for instance, my colleagues might think I'm like smoking dope at work. Not really what I'm going for. And I haven't smoked for eons. So power to those who do, though. No judgment. I'm just saying, like, it would just be funny to me to smell like it when I'm not smoking it at all. So that is an experience I'm not looking for. But I have found I like it in, there's a Kiehl's, not a Kiehl's scent. It was Fresh, by the company Fresh. They did a cannabis, I think Santal kind of thing. It was beautiful. I liked that. And so this one, so sometimes they can be really light herbal, you know, just like a hint. And sometimes they smell, to me, incredibly skunky. This is somewhere in the middle, but again, it's about what this is combined with. So I wrote as much about patchouli as it is cannabis. And I said not skunky at all. Very, very interesting. I didn't write down the other notes, but you get this composition of things. And, you know, when I smell this compared to, let's say, some of these other sample strips or blotters, I do think it has a bit of that cannabis feel. But I find this could be totally wearable, really beautiful. Again, perfectly unisex, really, really nice. So really great experience with this overall. And I just think people who are into, I would say, more artistic or risk-taking scents, and especially if you like unisex stuff, this is really terrific. And Maude, thank you so much. I'm so excited to have tried this, and a couple of these will be mine someday. Beautiful. So now I'm going to talk about, she sent also a bag of some other just, you know, like various samples and goodies. I got to try my first, is it pronounced Tiziana Terenzi? This is Andromeda. And that was really exciting because some of my most favorite YouTubers who talk about fragrance and seem to be, I would say, more risk takers, seem to really, really like this perfumer. This is just gorgeous. I don't know. I wrote down so pleasing, soapy, but yet it has a bit of an amberiness. There's a coconut in here, but not like beach coconut, like a round, I don't know, it creates like a milky experience for me. However, I'll say, while all those are true, I get the tiniest bit of like what I detect as or call nail polish or nail polish remover. It's strong. There's just a little something that doesn't work on me or with my chemistry or skin. It's really cool though and beautiful. I get like a pleasing soapiness, but unfortunately it's got a bit of that tang that, yeah. And I believe these are very expensive, so this is not something that I would take a risk with, but super, super fun to try. My first, is it Tiziana Terenzi? I'm going to talk about the only other one that I didn't favor, and then I'm going to talk about a few that I fear Maude has gotten me addicted to. All right, next is House of Sillage. It's called the Contemporary. Just for the sake of being honest and frank, I have avoided this house. Different strokes for different folks. So seriously, if you love what they do, please do not take offense. Who cares what I think? I mean, we all just have different experiences. I work in the art world, so of course, aesthetics probably sometimes matter too much, darn it. But I find, you know, I've never tried their scents, but I find that they lean very much on the gimmick of the cupcakes, and I find the scents to be expensive and so much about this flash that you get with it. And I just am like, yeah, I don't know. I had an open mind smelling this because I was like, gosh, I'm sure they're high end and beautiful. I find this so funny because It's called the Contemporary, yet to me, and maybe it's a contemporary in that you're going to smell like other scents. This so much smells like some of the male-leaning scents that I cannot tolerate. Oh, now I can't think of it. Oh, Savage is one, and I love the house, of course, but it's got this aquatic screechiness. It's also, I wrote fresh, spicy, woody. And now that it's sat on paper for maybe half an hour, I like it more. But I find, as far as somebody who works in a contemporary art museum, so we're dealing with not even like today, but often tomorrow, what people are literally making and getting ready to release right now. This smells very much 10 to 30 years old to me. None of that's bad, but I just, you know, I'm like, the gimmick didn't work, or it just doesn't work for me. But I'm super excited to have tried it. Maude, I'm dying to know if you like it and how you feel about some of these other scents. I'm excited to hear what you think of Malin and Goetz, etc. So that was the only one that really, I just was like, no, that's an absolute no for me. And I would not recommend it even. The last three, I love, 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 love. Let's go with maybe the most, I would say probably people-pleasing is my guess. This is my guess. This is Missoni, the Eau de Toilette. Gosh, this is beautiful. This is just a composition. I don't know. There's a ton of things in it. It's, oh, I should have said, yeah, created by Quentin, Bish. I get soapy rose water, but so lovely. You know, you have to like rose, for real. It's got a tiny bit of a brightness, like almost like a lemoniness. But if you like the scent of rose water with, let's say, a hint of, or I would even call this rose tea with a little bit of lemon. I find this to be so sophisticated, pleasing. Gosh, this would be the most beautiful signature scent. And while I would imagine most people would think this was more female leaning, or those who identify as female leaning, I can't imagine that anybody wouldn't smell good in this. I mean, I think, but really, really beautiful. I cannot wait to wear this in the spring and summer, or maybe on a winter day when I just need to feel crisp and like a pick-me-up. So Missoni Eau de Toilette, beautiful. Next is Gucci Acqua de Fiori. This was in the most beautiful little, my gosh, sample bottle. This was one that when I first dabbed it, I was like, I don't know if it's anything special. And then it dried down to me, and I really started to love it. This is designed by Alberto Marias, the nose. I wrote that this is kind of, to me, pretty, fresh, bright. And here's what was surprising about it. At first, it just felt like, I hate to say it, another freshie. Like I sprayed it, or I dabbed it, and I was like, not bad, nothing, you know. But then as it settled, I was like, I am getting tomato leaf. Now, I find that a lot of my favorite tomato leaf scents have a really strong note where you can really, really pick it up like you're almost in the garden, or if you just touched a tomato plant. This is very light. And I also can pick up a little bit of the ISOE Super, which is in the, you know, the molecule perfume. So it's got this tiny bit of, like, the way that presents itself to me is it smells a hint woody and musky. So I would call this like a light, bright scent with a hint of tomato leaf. So because of that coming out to the, you know, to the surface as I wore it a bit longer, I feel like this is a really unique freshie for that reason. So I really, really loved it. Last, but certainly not least, this is the one that's just blowing my mind. A few of these I need to own, but this is the one where I was like, oh, this is so good. This is Acro Dark. I've heard Maude talk about a few of the Acro scents, and they all sound really cool. God, I cannot get over how beautiful this is. Ugh, this is phenomenal. All right. When I first sprayed this, I thought I was getting really strong coffee. Slightly sweet, really deep, rich, but not bitter somehow coffee. But actually the notes are chocolate, cacao, hazelnut, vanilla, and cinnamon. But you know, I think sometimes, like when I'm making desserts, I notice this. I think some of the best, I'm not a huge fan of chocolate. I know, I'm a freak. I know. When I do like chocolate, it's when a little coffee is used or some vanilla is used. And to me, what it does is it brings out the richness of all of those elements. I think you can similarly make a great vanilla dessert and put a hint of coffee or chocolate in it. This is unbelievable. To me, it smells like God, like somebody just poured dark chocolate, but it's got a bit of that nuttiness from the hazelnut and a darkness or a depth. The word dark is perfect because it's more than the sum of its parts. I just spray this and I'm like, oh, this is so good. It's just so beautiful. I do not think this is for everybody. I probably would not have loved this scent for the first 10, 15 years that I wore or collected perfumes. I'm just saying for me. This to me, you've got to light a bit of like, this is not just about milk chocolate. It's got some more backbone, depth, even a little grit. And I say that all as compliment. It's beautiful, gorgeous, gorgeous thing. And when I think dark, I think richness in this case. It's so rich. It's beautiful. So I now can't wait to look this up and try some of their other scents. So this was so fun. I hope you enjoyed it too. Maude, mwah, you're the best. Thank you so much. And next video, we'll talk about the wonderful replica scent that I can't wait to review. And soon also, as we're heading into Halloween season here, I think we're about 2 weeks away. I'll be talking about some of my favorite scents to wear over Halloween and later fall. Cheers. Have a great day.